Look, I realize you've seen the title or the thumbnail of this video and thought, how could I make such an insane claim? Fact number one, I own most of the high-end flywheel blasters in the Nerf hobby. For example, I have 2 FDL3s. I've got a Diana. Make sure you hit subscribe for the video on this thing. It's taken me a little bit because my opinion has flipped like 6 times. I even own the freaking Pew Pew. And yet all of those are absolute garbage when compared to the SBF by Gavinfuzzy Designs. All for one very, very simple reason. Freaking bearings that add rifling to the dart as it goes through the barrel. Meaning this is, by far and large, the most accurate Nerf Flywheel blaster you will ever get. And if you know anything, Flywheel blasters aren't exactly known for their accuracy. Plus, you've got to love that absolutely amazing toolless battery removal. Oh, and it gets better, because if you go against this blaster, you're gonna have a bad time. Yes, I can't believe it's taken me this long to get to a Sans-themed blaster, but that's what this SBF is, or the SPAMF but Flywheel, as Gavin has dubbed it. I think he's really at his wit's end about that acronym. For those wondering, this is a SPAMF. The SBF is a 3D printed brushless flywheel Nerf blaster, chambered for cut down Nerf darts or Nerf half darts. And it is very much in design of a Scorpion Evo, although this is an alternative front end that was developed for Ragnarok Oktoberfest 2023, so people could use this blaster in competitive 5v5 games to make it look less like a firearm. Look, I don't pretend to understand it either, but I do like this front end more than I like the original. Not that that was bad, I just happen to really like this one. And yes, this is a completely 3D printed blaster. You can buy just a hardware kit, which is what I did, and 3D print the blaster yourself, or you can buy completed blasters and probably a completed parts kit with the 3D printed parts included. That is very expensive, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but it was honestly the best build I have ever done in this hobby, bar none. The actual construction of this blaster is part of that price because not only did Gavin make it as smooth and intuitive as possible, but the quality of the parts is out of this world. We're talking multiple custom-made PCBs where every single connection is already done up for you. You just have to plug it together, screw it together, and you're good to go. The flywheel cage is metal. The barrel is like a nylon or something like that. Even has SLS printed parts right here and even a clear window. It is a really well thought out and designed kit. And all the parts you see here were printed on my Bamboo X1 carbon. So why is this blaster worth that price point? Well, we've already covered one thing, and that is the fact that it has that absolutely amazing BCAR barrel in it. This is the only flywheel blaster I have right now that has that system built into it, and it's designed in a way that the solenoid pushes the dart into the brushless flywheels that are spinning in opposing directions, flings the dart into those bearings, and the bearings impart a spin to it and guides it out of the muzzle, and that spin stabilizes the dart in flight. Flywheel blasters, not really known for their accuracy. The SBF, it literally gets more accurate the more you use it. In fact, I don't think I've put enough darts through this thing yet to claim peak accuracy. Those brushless flywheel motors will spin up instantly and have so much torque that you could put this thing through max rate of fire and every single dart will pretty much come out at the same velocity. And yeah, it has select fire too, so you can not only do a burst fire through it, you can change what the burst fire is, you can change the rate of fire of the burst, you can change how much of an artificial delay you want in the burst. It also has semi-auto, and then of course it has full auto and a safety mode, and as you can tell, the select fire switch is ambidextrous and super nice to use. This thing is so well built, I can't foam at the mouth enough about it. There's plenty of options for the stock, but one of the claims to fame is the folding stock that Gavin has designed here. I can press that button and my stock folds up, locks into place. It's actually a magnet, as you can probably tell by that right there. And even this sling loop doesn't get in the way because the stock is designed to have notches in it that avoids crashing into the sling loop. So you can have the stock in any position and it will fold up absolutely flawlessly. This blaster is developed from the ground up to be a competition grade blaster. But enough talk, let's take over to the chronograph of the shooting range to show you exactly how good this thing is. Since the Gavinfuzzy SBF is a brushless blaster, you can control the spin of the flywheel motors, which means you can tune this thing up and down. But at 100%, yeah, this thing can hit over 160 real easily. Are you okay?
We're good. Save the blaster.
Are you okay?
I'm good.
Woo, I'll grab your mag. Let's give a quick little rundown of what the menus can do. So if you click on that right there, you've got back and save right there, and you do everything through this little click wheel right here. You've got ESC speed. That is going to be the speed of your flywheel, so the power of your blaster. You've got burst rate of fire, auto rate of fire, both of those capped at 20. You've got the amount of burst, anywhere from 2 to 5. You've got the delay, which I'm not quite sure what that does. Hang time, again, not quite sure what that does. Spin down, that's the time it takes for your wheels to spin down in between shots. Low battery, which this uses a 4S LiPo, so 14.4 volts. You've got the tracer effect, and then we've got about, and then a full reset back to factory standards. So really simple and intuitive. I just don't know what a couple of those features do. One feature that's really easy to forget is that this blaster has everything except ammo counting, but it does have this. If you go into the menu here, there is a lot of options in here, but probably the best one is that bottom one, tracer. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Now it makes a little bit more sense why the lights are off, but check this out. So it's only slightly hard to see here, but it actually has that whole tracer activation for glow-in-the-dark darts inside of the magazine well here. Why? Why not? All right, so before anything, first, check this out. Yeah, I've been doing some work. All right, so before I start on the digital target, I'm gonna hit the physical targets. I'm only gonna be using iron sights for this, but these are pretty good iron sights. That is not half bad, but now let's actually test it against the target. 45. Give it another run. Let's do a 3-shot burst this time. I said 3-shot burst this time. There we go. $53. And now, just for kicks, we'll do full auto. 63. It really does get more accurate the more you fire it. All right, real quick, I wanted to give this one more shot, but I'm gonna be using the worker heavier weight darts just to see if these are a bit more stable in flight. Oh man, it was firing so fast, it didn't even register them. 71. And again, this thing will only get more accurate the more I use it, reaching its full accuracy at about 1,000 rounds through it, which I've probably done a couple hundred so far. One of the craziest things is that I printed this thing out at like 60% infill with 4 or 5 walls on every single part, so it is absolutely heavier than it needs to be because basically it's just a core that you drop 3D printed parts around. So really you can print these out as thin and light as you want them to be, but man, does it feel good with that weight on there. Some of you may be crying foul at the price point compared to the velocity the blaster shoots at. And I'm here to tell you that that's the wrong thought you have, because velocity shouldn't exactly correlate to price. This blaster at max everything is meant to hit around 165 FPS, which is a typical competition cap for flywheel blasters. So if you're looking for the absolute strongest flywheel blaster out there, this is not the one for you. But because it's a flywheel blaster, not only can you hit 165 FPS, but you can also tune it down to hit other FPS caps like HVZ. And you still get that really good accuracy out of this thing. I haven't gotten that far yet, so it will only get better, but what I already have is really freaking good. The SBF isn't the best because it maxed out absolutely everything. The SBF is the best because it does everything really, really well. Great velocity, great accuracy, great rate of fire, great customization, not only internally, but externally, because there's a lot of different files for it. And of course, being a 3D printed blaster, only more options are going to come out as time marches on. But what I have right here, it has great handling. This thing feels amazing to use. And that's probably the most important thing, down to the actual trigger on this blaster, where it pretty much couldn't be better. Like, realistically, it cannot. There is barely any take up. It is super solid, super quick, super light. It's a hair trigger that allow you to do those burst shots and semi-auto shots as fast as you need them to be. If there's a bullpup version of this, it's probably going to be the closest thing I'll ever get to the Chi-Com from Black Ops 2. So the fact of the matter remains, do you need to purchase one of these things? No. When it comes to flywheel blasters, they have their specific needs and specific use, and while this one is better, if you're using it like a typical flywheel blaster, you probably won't notice that accuracy much, because flywheels are kind of meant for their accuracy over volume. But if you want absolutely the best competitive Nerf blaster that you can buy right now in a flywheeler, and money is no object, and honestly, compared to some of the other stuff I have on this table, it's pretty reasonable, then yeah, get an SBF, and in my opinion, you definitely 100,000% should be getting the DIY hardware kit and building it yourself. It is so much fun to build, and you'll know every single aspect of the blaster. There's a lot of flywheelers out there, but the SBF is the current king.